But the YouTubers think you're stupid. I love this. They think you're losers. I mean, it's quite amusing to me. They think you're losers. It's a...
How do you know what kind of acquisition you want to acquire? I mean, how are you selecting those?
Okay, well, we set up we set up parameters. Remember, I haven't got there yet. Structure follows strategy. Okay, now we got a bunch of strategic guys in here. I can tell just by reading the shit that you sent me. Okay, but what happens is when you come up with a strategy. Let's say the strategy is to buy dental practices in Southern California because we think the law is going to... No, better yet. Marijuana. Okay. Marijuana, the law is going to change. The law in America has already 14 states have legalized medicinal marijuana. Okay. Ultimately, the theory is that the rest of the states are going to come on board. Okay. Some guys I believe it's KKR, left KKR about 3.5 years ago, and put together a fund for $350-400 million for marijuana. As I understand it, they're in Seattle, Washington. Okay, now I don't know the guys. I have no idea who they are, but they're looking at all the opportunities. Okay, and there's several. There's the growing, distribution, etc. There's different phases. So our strategy is to build an infrastructure, getting ready. I'm just using this as an example. And the reason I know so much about this is I have 3 kids, possibly 4, that are in the weed business. In the weed business. They don't like calling it weed, but that's, Okay. And so we want to get our infrastructure in place in the next 1 to 3 years. So we need land to grow it, and then you got to build shit over it, which I didn't know. You got to build the kind of huts over it. And then you want to sell it, etc. Okay. So now that's our overall strategy. Now, what is kind of the red herring in the deal is right now, though some 14 states have made it legal, the income on that revenue in the states, you pay taxes on. You pay state income tax, unless it's in one of the 2 or 3 states that doesn't have state income tax. But the federal government has not approved it yet. Okay? Now, for all you geniuses, which I know you are, you should be able to say the federal government hasn't approved it yet, so whatever revenue you have isn't legal. Okay? So if you write off expenses against your state return spreadsheeter, and then you try to take the same benefit on your federal return, you're going to go to jail because they're going to know that you're doing weed. Some people are still taking that risk. One of my kids got arrested 6 or 8 weeks ago, and because he did exactly what I told him not to do. Just like some of you are going to do. I told him what the inherent risk was, but the DEA, they're not going to fuck with me. It's like Allah sent a lightning bolt right down to the DEA guy and said, this guy's up in San Joaquin Valley, California. This is his address. And so that's what happened. But the strategy would be that we're going to get our infrastructure. So the acquisitions we want to make are the land, okay, the people that build the shit over the land, or the weed. One of the red herrings in the law is, in the states that have legal marijuana for medicinal purposes, you can only grow 2 pounds a month. 2 pounds. And 2 pounds is nothing. Correct? 2 pounds is fuck all. Okay? So, who's going to check the fact that Mark's growing 2 pounds or not? Right? So they all think, wow, what are the chances that they're going to come and pretty fucking good. All you got to do is piss off your girlfriend, blah, 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 an employee you didn't pay on time. So we'd look for land, we'd look for infrastructure, getting ready for when we get to plant the weed. And then I'm sure you guys would be doing due diligence by doing, hands-on due diligence. Yeah, exactly. To make sure that it's of the highest quality, etc. And so that's how we look at it, And for dental practices, we're rolling up in the southeastern United States, where there's been 2 big roll-ups. For example, in the last 10 years, one roll-up was about $85 million, sold to a Canadian insurance company. Now that I think about it, and another big roll-up, which was done about 12 or 14 years ago, for $1.1 billion or $1.3 billion, sold to a Canadian pension fund, a teacher's pension fund. Canadians are good to sell to. They just are. And but there hasn't been a roll-up exit since those 2. But now they're what do you call it? There's 4 or 5 roll-ups in the United States right now. I'm involved in one of them, of dental practices, and you don't have to be a dentist to buy a dental practice. There's 2 roll-ups here in the UK of dental practice. You don't have to be a dentist to be a dental practice. There's 1 roll-up in Germany. You don't have to be a dentist to be a dental. I don't understand that part, why you don't have to be a goddamn dentist, but you don't have to be. I don't know about the Netherlands and other parts of the world. But banks think that dentists are better credits than doctors. I don't know why that is either. There's 3 or 4 major banks in the world that have set up separate funds to roll up dental practices. Separate funds. I think all dentists are fucking, operating on 6 cylinders. But anyway, that's my own opinion. Okay. But then I have a few dentists that are mentees, a couple of which are doing exactly what I just described. So from the strategy point of view, you figure out which way you're going. And then depending on, like for getting back to the marijuana, the infrastructure, so we're ready for when it's legalized, and then we can distribute through medicinal. Now, the hope is that it'll be more than medicinal when it gets approved at the federal level. And then, even though there's going to be a lot of money, the margins are 70, 80, 90, 95%. But I personally can't see them making it legal other than medicinal. But never underestimate how wrong you can be. But there's a lot of big money, betting on it. A lot of big money is betting on it. And those are the things that we look for. And that will be not an asset-based, and not many banks or institutions are going to be looking at private money, private equity, etc., to invest. Very few commercial banks, at least in the beginning, are going to be interested in any kind of lending against that for all the obvious reasons. But there are people right now that have been getting ready for that change in the law for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. And I have a few of the kids myself. My weed boys. And one of them, one of them looks like, some of those pictures that we had? The guy that has his arm hanging out the car. Now he looks all professional, but before, or kind of like you did, a few months ago. But there's just so many opportunities. It boggles the mind. And even for the marijuana legalization in America, there's money around. And one of the guys, or actually 2 of the guys, have found wealth offices from private, wealth offices from not the Rockefellers or the Fords or that kind, but people that have made money. Some of the guys, I'm told, from Silicon Valley are funding some of this shit, that have made big money in the Silicon Valley companies. And since they're supposedly on weed all the time anyway, so they're more likely to... yeah, exactly. Okay. You had a question? Is it about weed?
No.
Okay. Is weed against the Quran?
No, it's not actually.
Holy shit. Okay, wait a minute. Praise Allah. Okay. Go ahead. What's the question?
I had a specific question about an industry.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they price solar assets? Because these contracts usually last for 20 years or 25 years.
Well, they don't give you 20 years value. If it's a government contract, okay, if it's a government contract, if it's the first time out, they might price it, 3 to 5 years. But people like financial institutions like to lend against government contracts, and tomorrow we're going to talk about structuring. And 2 or 3 or 4 of the guys up there in the Hall of Fame have made their fortune vis-a-vis doing business with the government, as I told you. My first big hit was from a government contract, and they're not as careful on pricing or valuation. They're just not. I'm not saying you take advantage of them. I'm not saying it's illegal, not anything like that. They're just not as careful, and because it's not their money. It's pretty. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not their fucking money, so they're not as careful, unfortunately. YouTube, thank you very much. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.